Joining me from the team at Family Life, Wynand Jacobs. Kia ora. Thank you so much for your time today.
Kia ora, Andrew.
Nice to have you here. And today, talking about being part of the team, being on the same team. I know you've talked in the past about how your spouse is not your enemy. Let's flip that right around. They're on the same team as you. You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be fighting against them. You're allies at best. And hey, doesn't always seem like that, but if we can make that work, it makes a huge difference, right?
That's right. Now, Andrew, I'm sure you can complete the sentence for me. Teamwork makes the
dream work. There we go.
There we go. There we go. You got it. You got it. Now, unfortunately for some, when they go through the disillusionment of getting married and the challenges that comes with life, for many it feels less like a dream and more like a nightmare. Mm-hmm. Because how do we make this thing work? We're just so different. And I'm not saying that's the case for everyone, or everyone might not relate with what I'm saying right now. But if the teamwork thing is not really going, if it doesn't feel like the dream is working, I think it might actually pay to think about other areas where teamwork made the dream work. Yeah. And think about applying those principles to our marriage. Now, here's a quick question for you, and Andrew. This is where the interviewer becomes interviewed, or the other way around.
Exactly. Yeah.
But can you think of an example, of your worst experience in a team?
Oh gosh, I probably shouldn't mention anything about the wonderful people here at Rhema Media.
We don't have to mention any names.
No, it probably was when this is going back a bit. This is when I was at school, and I was a member of a team, and I was rubbish at the particular sport that I was a team member for, and everybody else in the team knew that I was rubbish and that I didn't really want to be there. So that created a bit of tension, that if one member of the team isn't really pulling their weight and doesn't really want to be there, that can be a pretty destructive thing, and that was probably me in my third form hockey team. Yeah.
Yep. Maybe you weren't in the right place there, but
maybe I'm just rubbish at sports. I don't know.
Well, could be maybe a mix of both. But look, in all honesty, like, it's the team leader's place there to actually identify, hey, what's not working. So there's one thing for you. Teamwork doesn't really work if there's no leadership involved.
Okay.
All right. So traditionally, and I think like the biblical mantle that's been placed on men to be the spiritual leader in your home, if you're not, let me just speak to the men for a moment. If you're not leading in that space and actually calling out how the team is to organize themselves, and this team isn't purely related to husband and wife, you know, this could be the family, this could be the extended family. I love this term, multi-generational family teams on mission.
Oh wow!
And if we think about that's a gap potentially right there. Like, is there someone fulfilling that leadership role in the team?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's flip this around a little bit. Tell me, can you think about a time and a team that you really enjoyed being a part of?
Yeah, I suppose it was a situation where everybody knew their role, that each person was helping the other person to be as good as they could be. This wasn't a sporting metaphor, but actually that everybody had their place, and it wouldn't be as good if one of those people wasn't there. But yeah, there was an ego in it. It was all about the team identity rather than the individual identity.
So good, so good. And I think that's often where we stumble in our family team dynamics, is when we forget that, hey, we're a team and our role is no longer as individuals seeing what we can get from the team, but actually how do we all contribute to the team? So we touched a little bit on leadership in defining that role. And look, if that's just the discussion that the two of you need to have, it's like, hey, let's put some definition around how we do teamwork, how we think of teamwork. I'll tell you an experience that I've had of discouraging teamwork, and that is when the bar keeps moving.
Yeah.
There's no clear description on what's my responsibility, and so I could be pouring into this team with no sense of satisfaction, with no sense of, hey, I've done my bit, I've contributed to the team. So if there's no definition of what my responsibility and my contribution is, what is required, then there's also no sense of going above and beyond.
Yeah.
Because I think, so in sort of bringing things to to conclusion, and just for our discussion today, and obviously this is a much wider discussion, but if I can leave our listeners with just one thought, the mantra teamwork makes the dream work is really true. But have we applied those principles to our marriage? Are we clear about what we expect from one another? What roles have we got to play? And then who's primarily responsible? Because if one person's responsible, and I go and take over their responsibility, well, that's me actually giving them a break. But if we've not defined whose responsibility is, no one can give anyone a break because everyone's just sort of slogging away.
Exactly. And whose dream is it? Is it the dream of the team, or is this one person with an idea that they're not communicating and nobody's meeting their expectations, so they're angry all the time? Another sports metaphor I wanted to throw in at the end here, I think, is we may have different expectations about our other team members' roles within the team. And I can think of a situation where a guy goes, well, I'm the sports star, my wife's the cheerleader. Of course, that's the way it's going to be. And hey, maybe that was the case when you were younger and when you were dating, but actually perhaps your wife has a more active role in the team than just being on the sidelines going, rah, 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 you're the best all the time. Maybe there needs to be some communication about what our roles are so that we can be effective in supporting each other, I suppose.
Yeah, look, and this is this conversation, is a broad one, because sure, there are certain roles and expectations that they maybe have been traditional in nature, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a good thing either. I think what is most important, like you've highlighted, is let's communicate. Let's become clear, husband and wife. If your kids need to be included in that discussion, let's become clear that, hey, our identity is as a family. We're a team, and each of us gets to contribute to this team. And so a team needs a vision and a purpose. Like, many people just need to actually take those steps back and say, hey, what sport is this team playing? What game are we playing? What is the vision? And so there's a few challenges in there. It's like, one, if there's a space to step up in leadership, that needs to happen. Two, the leader or whoever's fulfilling the role of leadership needs to facilitate that discussion about who does what, when. And let's get everybody to buy into that process. And let's make teamwork make the dream work.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody knows the roles that they play in making that dream a success. Wynand, very much appreciate what you and the team at Family Life do. And of course, lots of resources and support available at familylife.nz. Thank you so much for taking the time to share that wisdom with us. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Andrew.